Have you ever played one of those games that are so obviously inspired by another game that it almost seems wrong? Now, I'm not saying these games are bad, I'm just saying that they definitely borrowed heavily from another series. An example of this would be Darksiders as compared to Zelda. The dungeon puzzle formula is definitely replicated here, but Darksiders is still a really fun game because it changes enough to be different. Well, today we're not talking about that, because today we're talking about a game that goes so far past being inspired that it goes on to being a ripoff. Today, we're talking about Paladins.
If you've never heard of Paladins, well, consider yourself lucky, but it's a multiplayer shooter where two teams fight over an objective. It's currently in beta and is developed by Hi-Rez Studios, whose biggest claim to fame is probably a game called Smite. Now, I'm a huge fan of Smite, and I've heard people say that Smite's just a League of Legends ripoff, and some of the characters are a bit similar, but I feel like Smite does enough different to be its own thing. The perspective is different being third person, and the characters that are similar seem to be because they draw inspiration from the same already established deities. Recently, however, I got the chance to play Hi-Rez's other new game, Paladins, and was interested to check it out. In Paladins, you choose from different heroes and try to move a payload or perform an objective. Now, this may sound like a game you've played before, but in all fairness, that could describe a lot of games. But as soon as you start playing, you'll realize there is something wrong, or at least familiar. You know what? I'm not going to beat around the bush, as if you couldn't already tell, it's Overwatch. I mean, seriously, it's a copy of Overwatch. Paladin steals everything from the overall gameplay to the heroes themselves. I'm really going to try not to go into how much of Paladins is stolen from Overwatch, since honestly, it's pretty blatantly obvious. But let's pretend to be Hi-Rez and go down our Overwatch ripoff checklist together, shall we? Overwatch has a dwarf character that builds turrets. Well, we also have a character named Barrack who just so happens to be a turret-building dwarf. So let's put a little check mark there. Overwatch has D.Va, a small character in a giant mech. Well, that's too cool not to have. Let's call our small character in a giant mech Ruckus. Yeah, that sounds cool. Check mark. Overwatch has Soldier 76. He's kind of a generic soldier. I guess we can copy him and not feel bad, so here's Victor. Check mark. Overwatch has Reaper. Oh, he looks so dark and badass, like the Reaper. Oh, I know, we'll give ours horns, like the Devil. Yeah, that should make him different enough. Check mark. Now, while Hi-Rez made no real attempt at masking the theft of those characters, they tried to be a bit sneaky with some of the others. They took Overwatch's Pharah, who jumps up in the air and hovers while raining down rocket fire onto her enemies. Well, they turned her into a dragon lizard thing.
Hey, dragon, not lizard. I don't do that tongue thing.
It's still Pharah, though. They took Roadhog from Overwatch, aka Hooky McShooty, aka Mr. Bullshit, and made him a giant turtle Koopa thing, with the same gimmick of hooking an enemy, pulling them in, and point-blank firing. And you know, they didn't stop with just stealing Overwatch characters, because I swear, Pip is just Ratchet from Ratchet & Clank, maybe with a little bit of Jak and Dexter mixed in. Now, once upon a time when I was in college, I procrastinated writing a paper until the night before it was due because, you know, video games and whatnot. I then just downloaded a paper offline and turned it in. The next day, the teacher called me up after class to show me the exact website where I had downloaded the paper. And you know what I did? I did what any self-respecting college student would do. I got on my hands and knees and begged not to be given an F in that class. And I'm actually very proud of the D I earned in English. Now, once Hi-Rez was approached by the masses on the internet and criticized for their plagiarism, COO of Hi-Rez Studios, Todd Harris, had this to say. While Overwatch is a fine game, it's not the inspiration for Paladins. Game development is an interactive process with ideas coming from many past projects. For the hero shooter genre, the game that deserves the most credit is Team Fortress 2. Are you serious? You can't take a popular knight character from Overwatch that holds up a giant transparent shield, copy him, and say you didn't draw inspiration from that game. Christ, man, you even left the shield the same color. This is just a company treating consumers like idiots. You see, Overwatch took inspiration from Team Fortress 2, while Hi-Rez essentially copied and pasted and made sure they did the absolute minimum amount of changes not to get sued by Blizzard, the creators of Overwatch. Us gamers aren't stupid. Well, that may be a stretch since we keep buying Call of Duty every year, but we are at least capable of telling the difference between when something's copied versus when something's inspired.
And now we get to the main point of this video, because believe it or not, this comes from a place of love. Now, I like Smite a lot, and my problem with Hi-Rez isn't that they simply copied another game, it's because it makes them seem so slimy.
I don't think that Hi-Rez realizes is that what they're doing is damaging their brand and their name. When I see Hi-Rez pushing Paladins, all I see is a slimy, shady developer pushing their newish cash grab scheme and pretending to be innocent while doing it. If you go on your phone right now and you go to the App Store and you type in Mario Bros, you'll get Super Mario Siblings or some equally hilarious ripoff. Just for the sake of this video, let's take a look together. The first off is S-Boy World Adventure. What is the minimum amount you can change about Mario to avoid a lawsuit? You're looking at it. Well, I may have misspoke because Super Adventure of Jabber might be a little closer. Just look at that thumbnail with the pipe, the stairs, and the flag. Lastly, we have Hario World. And at this point, I'm just assuming if there's any story in this game, it's probably about Hario going on an adventure with his brother Luigi to save the Princess Peach from Bowser. I really don't have to explain what these games are because everybody already knows what they are. They're rip-offs trying to make money off the icon that is Mario. And you see, no one holds these developers with any esteem. Matter of fact, these seem to be the type of games you might not even want to trust on your phone.
So when I see Hi-Rez, a studio I like, blatantly rip off another game, it just hurts because it tarnishes a name that I used to respect, which sucks. What would help ease the pain though is if you guys hit that like and subscribe button at the bottom. It'll help so much you don't even know. See you next time.